we rolling? More ways than one here. Joe. Hello everybody. Matt the Greeter. No idea what gear I'm in. Hey, this is the road, my goggles, when I was coming in the opposite direction late at night one night. If you know there are no people with flashing lights at either end, you can get a good head of steam. They switched the road signs and this becomes a little part of Mexico. So one time I was in Mexico and I blasted it. I came around the corner real slow and then pegged it back in the half helmet days. You heard this story already, but got up to triple digits. The goggles on my face started to vibrate and then they got sucked off my face. So there I was, skydiving with no goggles on, you know, 100 something miles an hour. Easy breezy. I slowed down, downshifted and broke as hard as I could. Stopped, squinting, you know, with the carpenter squint. And the goggles had landed in my lap. They were still there. So I put them on. What's up, dude? Smiled sheepishly to myself. Sheepishly. And went on with my ride. Anyway, I think my GoPro's crooked. What say you? Yes? I'd like to adjust it, but I'll screw everything up. So maybe I just need to ride like this. Oh, second chopper in a row. What's up, dude? Oh, take your hands off the bars. I'm going to take you down. Normally I go straight now and take you down the little Oxbow Road, which is what I call it, not the official term. We're going to take a left here. And I'm going to take you somewhere we haven't been in a little while. So anyhow, only the best streets. This car's out of alignment, huh? Look at him crabbing along. Yeah, only the best streets for you guys. There aren't many of you watching my videos, so those of you who are there, I want to treat you right. Recently I transitioned from my don't get nervous. I transitioned from my regular job, quote unquote, to my very long-standing summer job of 21 years. This is my 21st year doing this particular summer job. It's well, my director at the summer job, in part of our staff training this year, asked a question that she had been asked, you know, through a book by somebody else who's one of those thinker people that ask questions and then you think about them and say, my, what an intellectual that person is. But this was a great question, and my director is salt of the earth, one of the good people on the planet for sure. And so her question to us as a staff, there are about 280 of us. What are the 3 most defining moments in your life? Or I can amend it to say 3 of the most defining moments in your life, if you're willing to talk about them. So, all right, hang on. I gotta get on the, yeah, that bump there, boy. That could be a defining moment if it catches you unawares. Yeah. You know how much I love those signs. So yeah, that bump, you're in the turn, you're leaned over, not too hard, but it's a surprising dip. And it will, if you're going really fast, it will take you right out of the saddle, and then you will meet the saddle quite vigorously with your lower regions, and then you can write a song like "That's How the Yodel Was Born" by Riders in the Sky. If you're not familiar with their song "That's How the Yodel Was Born," Riders in the Sky, go check it out. Talk about your defining moments. That's a nice little greenhousey area. Oh, we used to have woods there, remember? Now it's going to be probably a housing complex. Boy, don't move here if you want personal space. So, defining moments for Matt the Greeter, for me. So I don't know, I do have quite a few defining moments. Boy, you know, I have not had enough caffeine today. Wow, that's a victory for sale. You know, for mere dollars, you could have a victory too. Sounds like some NBA players that are allowed to get away with stuff. I wonder. Anyhow, let's not go there. Defining moment. I'm just going to pick 3 off the top of my head. One defining moment for me was moving away from Massachusetts. I moved away from Massachusetts when I was a young man, and I moved up near Canada to a rural, in every sense of the word, location. I mean, I thought I'd seen rural here. I thought I had seen fields around here. And when I moved up near Canada in New York State, something just opened in my mind and in my heart to the nature, the scale of the nature around me. And I absolutely fell in love with the land where I lived. And this is a 2-part defining moment. So part A, part B. So that's part A. And you know, like take a huge athletic field here, right? And that was the size of like somebody's yard up there. You know, like it's just wild. And you know, large coyotes, deer. I mean, the wildlife out there. I saw a wolf one evening, and you know, I had seen some very large dogs. A guy I knew up there had a Hofenwart, one of those castle guarding dogs, massive. And this wolf was so big it took my breath away. That's only happened a couple times in life. Literally, physically took my breath away. I couldn't believe the scale of this animal. And so anyhow, moving up there and falling in love with the land was a defining moment. And the fireflies, but the winter was very, 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 very long up there, and there weren't a lot of jobs that weren't like the Georgia Pacific paper mill. You know, the other part B of that defining moment was having to leave. And for as much in the short time that I was there, the amount of literal blood, sweat, and tears I poured into the land that I had lived on. Yeah, so I'm going to turn here as well. No turn on red. Good thing it's yellow. Plenty of turns on, all the turns on yellow. So having to leave was the other side of that defining moment. It was heartbreaking. It was crushing. I'm not even exaggerating. I'm not one to cry at all. I don't cry. Almost said out loud. I mean, like, I want to cry sometimes, but nothing happens. It's like Curly in the Three Stooges. I'm trying to think, but nothing happens. Yeah, it doesn't happen. But when I drove away from there, my final time, I cried. I mean, I cried like somebody who cries. Like you cried like a crier. I couldn't believe it. I was so devastated. So that was but what I took away with me was how free and how wide open. When I lived up there, I felt like I could breathe for the first time, you know? So I'll forever carry that with me. I really felt a place in planet Earth there, I suppose. And the change of seasons and the nature and the ebb and flow of the crops, you know, it was something else. So that was a huge defining moment, was finding a place that I could finally breathe. No traffic. If you were on the highway, you might see another car in your rear view in the distance. Right? Amazing. Never have to stop and wait for 7,000 cars to go by before it's you can get out. You know what I mean? Crazy. So that was defining. Another defining moment in my life. I'll say defining moment number 2 is getting my summer job. That, like I said, this is my 21st year there as of this recording. And when I got that job, I was actually fresh from my devastating return, tail between my legs, from that other life that I had, and I needed a summer job. And somebody that I worked with, I was an aide in a high school. Somebody that I worked with worked at this job, which I won't get into details until I'm out of there, and then I'll give you all the details. But he said, hey, I'll get you a summer job. Want to work with me? And I like this dude. I was like, yeah, I do. So he asked the then director, who was a different director back then, and he was a very renowned locally football coach, and about as tough as they come, about as intimidating a figure as you can imagine. And there was no job available, but he took a look at me and said, put him in Joe's group. That was my friend. Put him in Joe's group. There was no job, and then suddenly there was a job for me at the snap of fingers. So that job, when I went there, fresh from the island of misfit toys, I mean, I was a crazy person. I was as mentally defective and emotionally bereft, and just, just physically depressed as a human can get and still live. Oh, I'm over the edge. Now that I see that, that put me over the edge. I'm now deceased. Anyway, that we just saw the opposite of. Anyway, so that getting that job, which was a summer job, and it was working with hundreds of people, young people, and energetic people, enthusiastic people, normal people, stable people, people who are crazy but were safe crazy. I was not safe crazy. I was crazy. These people were safe crazy, and they celebrated my good characteristics. Crazy. Like, what? Talk about finding a family. And we're talking a summer job. That is an 8-week job. And those 8 weeks of my year are the most important weeks of my year. So one way to look at what I do for work is, I could say that for 8 weeks I do my summer job, and then in the off season I do other stuff to pay the bills. You know what I'm saying? That's how important, that's how instrumental this job has been. This job literally saved my life. As I was at a point where there was no tomorrow. Any night I went to bed, there was no tomorrow guaranteed, the way I was living. And this job and the people who loved me there and nurtured me, really, from the brink of, just not being on planet Earth, these people brought me, saved my life. This job saved my life. And I've been there 21 years, and that's a ridiculously long time for a summer job. But there are people that have been there 20, 30, somebody's been there over 40 years. It's a job people don't leave because it's more than just a job. It is a family. It is it's like you finally, you finally can be in your element, fully in your element, and although it's brief, it is a crucial part of the year. So I'm a little old for the job now, and I know it's not going to last forever. So every summer I approach it with gratitude and with the understanding that it might be my last go around. And I try not to think about it, because I don't know what I'll do moving forward when I don't have that job anymore. You know what I'm saying? And unlike teaching, which changed so much I had to leave because I just couldn't do it, this job has changed a ton, and I've been able to roll with it and thrive through it. So anyhow, that's defining moment number 2. And defining moment number 3, which I gotta keep brief because this has already gone on a long time. Defining moment number 3, I should say, coming off the heels of maybe that and coming back to life, as it were, would be meeting my wife and having our 3 kids. Well, I didn't have them, she had them. Meeting my wife, and so coming from being a kid who came crashing back to planet Earth, a danger to himself, learning to be human again, and actually getting to a point where I could actually meet, my wife, and that we could have 3 kids, is a life that I never dreamed I could be a part of. I never dreamed that was a possibility for me. I always knew it's a possibility for anybody who wants it, but I didn't think it was gonna be a possibility for me. Yes, for everybody else, not for me. I don't live that kind of life. It's just not in the cards. But happily, I was proven wrong. And defining moment number 3, is becoming a husband. Maybe not a great one, but a husband in progress, and a dad. So that's defining moment number 3. Forever grateful for all 3 of those defining moments, because my life is completely different if even one of those aspects is different. So I've had other defining moments here and there. Those are the 3